Lo le ho lo la lo e ho e la lo le lo go he lo e la ho he yo la lo e la yo e la la le
1914.
lo
The World War started a couple of years later. Haiti got sick and very weak in the fall, and bread was scarce, a crust of bread to put in the mouth in the morning. By chance, Sakari Hirsi came from Caranto to visit Petsamo, and at the same time came to visit us too. Say that if Maria goes with him to Caranto, that there is still enough bread for you too, and for the boy. Sakari Hirsi said, there are some distant relatives. And so we went to Caranto in the fall and spent the whole winter there. My IT returned the following spring. 17 came back to Petsamo and did the same as before in the spring as soon as the leaves left the tree. She gathered birch branches and made a vispila, whisks out of them and picked berries, mowed hay from the fjords and preserved food, the fall and things that could be exchanged in Norway again. But then it came to a point that we couldn't even get to Norway anymore and couldn't take things to Norway. The war expanded and the hunger got worse. The entire coast of Murmansk was starving. My IT returned the following spring. 17 came back to Petsamo and did the same as before in the spring as soon as the leaves left the tree. She gathered birch branches and made a vispila, whisks out of them and picked berries, mowed hay from the fjords and preserved food, the fall and things that could be exchanged in Norway again. But then it came to a point that we couldn't even get to Norway anymore and couldn't take things to Norway. The war expanded and the hunger got worse. The entire coast of Murmansk was starving. There was no more fishing. From the sea came yuxia, white seals, whales, sharks, big, terrible. They were white and they were said to be along the whole seacoast of the country and ate all the fish that was near the entire coast. If there was any, sometimes there was some bottom fish from them, flounder and small halibut. Next fall, I went there again to Vaitolahti. I moved to live with Edward Van Hapiha. It was like this, I was like an adopted boy, and it was pretty good. The house was very neat and tidy. The command was quite firm and harsh. He was kind of an adopted boy. It's never like your own children. I couldn't ever go inside with shoes. On shoes had to be left outside, even if it had been freezing cold and snowing. I couldn't go inside much, except sometimes during the meal. I slept in the net house in the winter. I slept there all long winters in a pile of hay. On Sundays, I had to play with the village boys, throwing snowballs. Always someone was pointing fingers. There is that lap boy, so on and so on. All kinds of name calling, a fight. I couldn't swallow everything and carry the heavy load. Sometimes I got black eyes. I was always alone. I always had to be always against the gangs. And in the evening when I came home, there were neighbors who came to complain that unruly Salomon had fought with their boys. Then I got more hair pulling at home on top of what I had received from the boys of the village before. There was a school in Vaitolahti at that time where they taught a little reading and writing, and I was also able to be part of that school. Spring came, snow started to melt from the ground and ice from the shores. Then there came from Russia, from Arankeli, came some old fishermen who were said to be, who were sort of bosses or traders who bought fish from the fishermen there in Vaitoleti, and they wanted me to go there to be a cook for them, a little food and so on. When they came home from work in the evenings, the lady of the house agreed very gladly and let me go there. I was there for some time there, and I cooked them. Food was biscuits and sauerkraut and tea, and sometimes fish salted. I cooked salt fish when there was no fresh fish available. It was during the spring, and I used to run along the seashore, the beach, for a while, when there was nothing else to do. Then one day I ran along the beach. I found a dead seal on the shore. I was pleased. Now I had found treasure. Quickly ran home, and I was in a good mood. I remembered how Martimo split it and cleaned it and cut it into pieces. I cut the meat into pieces, and I had a pail with me. I put the meat in the bucket, so I took it to the house and washed and soaked it, and then I cooked seal and sauerkraut for dinner, and whatever else there was available. I don't remember what else. There was quite a lot of food. I was happy in my mind that yes, now I have made such a good dinner. Yes, those men will be happy, but I didn't understand then that, nor managed to realize that they were strict Catholics and didn't eat seal meat. The seal was a dirty animal. Well, in the evening the men came home and I brought them to the table. They smelled with their nose the sauerkraut and it smelled good. I was happy, sure that the seal meat was good and they would be pleased. They noticed. What black? What is it? And harsh questions. What is this? I excitedly replied, it's a seal. I found a seal on the beach and cooked it, and then the plates left the table. They were thrown on the floor. And the cabbage too, even the sour cabbage. They finally drank a little tea and bread crusts. And then the delicacy I made was left. I was a bit upset, sorry, but I couldn't understand what had happened. What was the reason for that? The next day I don't remember how much, 2,000-3,000 rubles in cash they gave me and said now I can leave the place. We don't need that kind of cook. And I went back to the old place where I was before for a while. Even the school had started to end. There was no school either, and the lady of the house was ranting, I am too lazy to do anything. With my thoughts and everything in my mind, I couldn't listen to it all. What came from there, I don't remember everything that came from there, but a lot came from there.